Okay, so here we are in our 1997 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and we are going to install a set of tow hooks. And my first move is going to be to take the grill off. I need to remove the entire bumper. There. So first we got a Phillips screwdriver. And there goes our grill. We're going to get a plastic trim tool, like this guy. And we're going to take all these little Christmas trees out right here. Because it probably may need some channel locks, or maybe just pliers. If you can't pull them out, you might have to push them through. This one actually uses a screwdriver. In order to get the bottom Christmas trees off. Yeah, these non-OEM ones really don't want to go back. Might just be easier to break the end off. That's free. I can push that through with a different tool. Oh, those will need to be replaced. Cool. Alright, now so on the front of either side is a long clip. Somebody might have broken in the past, like this one. They might not. So if that clip's broken, you gotta get in there with the screwdriver. If it's not broken, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is free. And there's our bumper.
Hey, do you know how to change out the fog lights?
Change what about them?
One of them works and one doesn't.
In answer to your question, there are 2 screws on the bottom of the light and a plate that comes off so that you can change the bulb in it. One of the wire leads comes attached to the bulb while the other one grounds through the plate at the base.
Okay, so it looks like 16 millimeter and 5/8 for the bolts that hold it to the frame, and 19 millimeter for the bolts that hold the tow hook to the bracket. So here are our tow hook brackets that these came from.
Rugged Ridge.
Yeah, for sure.
So big shout out to them.
Already like depleted.
And you gotta figure out which side you're on. This one looks like it's the driver one. And this one looks like it's the passenger one.
First, decide if you want your point up or down. Then decide if you want to use the clip, the keeper clip that comes with it. It's pretty much a matter of personal choice. You might want to look into some information about recovery and how all of it works. The big difference is whether somebody who is helping you recover can gun it real quick and get the connection to drop, or whether you spend a bunch of time putting your tow strap back onto the hook. A little bit of a matter of how it's going to look.
Tend to put the back one on first so that I can compress the spray a little.
In section 13-4 of the dealer service manual, titled Frame and Bumpers, it says to install the retaining nuts to 100 Newton meters or 74 foot-pounds. It doesn't talk about the bracket bolts, so we're going to have to guess on those.
Of course, these are nylon nuts, so they shouldn't rattle off, but you don't really want to take them on and off too many times. You want them to hold good. I'm going to set it and forget it. Yeah, maybe it goes without saying, but try to keep the tow hook parallel to the bracket so that it'll look straight once you get it on the car. And as it's close to tight, adjust it some.
Once you've got the tow hooks on the bracket, we're just going to line them up on the outside of the frame, looking through this slot, and bring the bolts through. There's going to be 4 bolts on the upper part, and there's going to be 2 bolts that go to the radiator cross member. We want to just put the back 2 in first.
Yeah.
So you don't have to drill anything or anything?
No, these were designed for your car. This is the way your car was supposed to have tow hooks added to it.
Oh.
It was...
I guess my brain always thinks like
You gotta make it up.
we had Jerry rig in our family.
It's a Grand Cherokee.
And my brain was like, we're gonna have to drill a hole in my frame to put a bolt through.
No, this is...
That makes sense.
This was designed to go this way. Now, the one thing is it might need to be assembled in a particular way.
Angle.
Yeah, well, I remember putting these in before. I had to be really patient with myself to get them in the right spot.
The bracket should sit on top of the cross member for the radiator, not go on the bottom like I'm trying to do it right there. And then the bolt that's closest to the outside of the vehicle needs to be put in first, and then the inner bolt needs to be put in second, so that you're not in your own way. Once I get those bottom 2 bolts in, I just add the nut so that they'll stay put. Okay, yeah, so the lip that sticks out of the radiator ends up underneath the bracket itself, like I just said. And then we can start those bolts, probably even first.
Okay, we gotta start with the bolt that is closest to the outer edge of the car, though. Alright, so you got 4 bolts to put in, and the horn is going to be kind of in your way from this top one. There we go. So I'm starting with the 2 bolts closest to the rear of the vehicle. I've got my bolts through up right here. 16 millimeter or 5/8. Of course, we need to hold them while we tighten. gonna thread these front two on without tightening. You gotta hold them pretty far back in there. So one solution might be to turn them on the outside while holding them with a magnet tool. So I'm gonna grab a magnet tool. Okay, so I've got my 5/8 nut here on the end of the magnet tool. You know, I can't see in there that great. Might be easier. I got myself some kind of light in there. Letting it back out some. Yeah, you just gotta be careful to work around the horn. Right. Yeah, I got that nut started. And now we're gonna start at the bottom. It's a little bit easier to get to. Once you get it kind of started, hold it with a wrench. Alright. The bottom one you should be able to turn with the socket wrench. Still, I'm not going to get that too tight. I know I'm in the right place. Top one, however, you're probably going to have to do with a hand wrench. If you want to use the socket wrench on that bolt, you can take the horn off by removing the bolt that holds it to the frame. Go ahead and wedge that on there. Another option would have been to remove the horn. It's held on there with all of one bolt. So this is Devin from Haas Auto West, and that's pretty much the entire process. The other side is going to work exactly the same, you just won't have the horn in your way. The bumper and grille go back on the opposite of the way they came off. Just put the Christmas trees back in and then put the Phillips screws back in. That should be about it. I hope this video has been helpful. If you're involved in putting some tow hooks on the front end of your Jeep, go ahead and hit like on this video if you would, and please subscribe to the channel so we can send you more information like this in the future. As always, happy wrenching. Okay, I'm starting to get close. So something I want to do is put the other two bolts in my other two holes here and make sure they're going to go in before everything's really tight. going to be in your way, but it's important to get them in there where you really tighten things. You can't move the bracket at all. Oops. So now that I've reached this point, I'm going to go ahead and tighten the bottom one. Get it on there. And then use my socket. Going back to the top one.